I'm not a witch. I don't cast spells. No one taught me magic.
Well, that changed pretty quickly, didn't it? Scarlet Witch is now the most powerful magical being in the MCU, fated to either rule or destroy the world, more powerful than any Sorcerer Supreme. But can she really step in for the Sorcerer Supreme when push comes to shove? Can she take on true interdimensional threats? Like, say, Dormammu. So who wins here? Scarlet Witch or Dormammu? Well, let's go find out. But before we get into it, well, if you think Scarlet Witch wins, hit the subscribe button. And if you disagree, if you think Dormammu wins, hit that notification bell. Now let's get it. So for most of her life, Wanda Maximoff's powers were essentially operating on autopilot, just running in the background of her life, really just surfacing in the form of telekinesis and telepathy, plus some energy powers, which is genuinely just shocking to think about, because her telepathy is enough to incapacitate half the Avengers, force them to live out twisted nightmares. It's enough to control whole cities several times. It's enough for Wanda to overpower and tap into the Mind Stone, one of the most powerful objects in the universe. And it's enough to get into the minds of other witches and sorcerers. Her telekinesis is enough to hold up a crashing air traffic control tower, lift up massive waves of threshers up into the air and then send them crashing to the side, overpower leviathans, peel back Ultron's impenetrable vibranium body and tear out his heart, even block attacks from Thanos, and then completely and totally overpower Thanos, leave him helpless and in her control. And then her energy powers are enough to destroy the Mind Stone while simultaneously holding back Thanos with the 5 other Infinity Stones. So yeah, no big deal there. And it's really no surprise that Scarlet Witch is now the most powerful hero in the MCU. We really should have seen it coming all along, because all of this are powers not even operating at their full potential. So, what is Wanda's true potential? Well, honestly, we don't really know for sure. I bet she's even got more to show us. But we do have a pretty good gauge now. Like, take the Westview Hex, for instance. She was able to perform some massive reality warping feats on such a huge scale. Just a ginormous scale. Most impressive thing is that she did it with no known skill, no preparation beforehand, while other sorcerers would have required master level skill and weeks of preparation to pull off something like that on an even smaller scale. Through just a massive surge of chaos magic, Wanda placed a hex on the town of Westview, New Jersey, transmuting it back to the 1950s and brainwashing all the residents to be actors in Wanda's sitcom world, WandaVision. Now, with all the cast and the crew and the location at her disposal, on this show, Wanda could live out the life she dreamed of with Vision in the style of her favorite TV sitcoms, periodically shifting from one decade to another. All these adventures were then broadcast out to the outside world on old school televisions. Inside the Hex, Wanda had complete and total control, even to the point of creating life, creating a new Vision and children who only existed inside of Westview. She could manipulate reality at will, introduce color, rewind time, edit out footage, manipulate the cameras in different shots, roll credits, even pause everything. She managed to mind control everyone in the town, force them to act their parts in WandaVision, all while going through incredible emotional trauma and experiencing the same pain and anguish that Wanda was feeling. Residents of background roles are forced to do the same thing over and over and over again. It's even worse for the people living on the edge of town, where they're motionless but still alive. And again, for the most part, all of this was Scarlet Witch's magic running on autopilot. So if this was on autopilot, and all of this insane stuff that she did before was just barely tapping into her powers. What's different now? What can she do now that she's just the full blown embodiment of the Scarlet Witch? Well, for starters, she can beat Doctor Strange, beat Wong, beat two Sorcerer Supremes at once, and take down Kamartaj. All the forces of the mystic arts combined, all at once. So yeah, no big deal. She was destined to either rule or destroy the world, making her essentially a planetary threat. She started casting spells like dream walking, allowing her to jump from universe to universe. Doctor Strange was pretty well convinced that Wanda was becoming, or had already become, a universal level threat. But Dormammu is in a class of essentially all his own. He's what you might call a primordial entity, a true god, a true deity. And not like Thor or Loki, not like them. They're more mortal deities. You'd call them more demigods compared to Dormammu's true godhood. I know they're not literally demigods, just comparing them to Dormammu. He rules the dark dimension, is a being so much older than time that time itself is actually a foreign concept to him. And his sole purpose is to conquer all the infinite realities and dimensions within the multiverse, absorb them all into the dark dimension. Just to be clear, what I'm saying here is that Dormammu has already absorbed countless dimensions and realities within the multiverse, making him a true multiversal threat, one of the most powerful beings in the MCU. Really up there with Infinity Ultron and Sorcerer Supreme and the Watcher. He went up against Doctor Strange and killed him possibly infinite number of times, just killing him over and over and over again. It was never a question of if Dormammu could kill Strange. It was really just a question of when Dormammu would get tired of killing Strange. And this was when Doctor Strange had an Infinity Stone, had the Time Stone on his side, literally unlimited time manipulation. And even then, it wasn't actually even overpowering Dormammu. It was just allowing Strange to not be killed. How in the world could Scarlet Witch hope to replicate this? She's never shown powers like this before, never shown knowledge or mastery of time spells. And while her powers are linked to an Infinity Stone, it's the Mind Stone and not the Time Stone. Only reason the Time Stone was effective was because time itself was a foreign concept to the Dark Dimension. Dormammu isn't a conventional enemy, and he can't be beaten by conventional means. I guess you could argue Scarlet Witch could possibly beat him with telepathy, especially since we've seen her absolutely dominate people like Professor X in a telepathic fight. But going from beating Xavier to beating a god who's omnipotent and omnipresent in his realm, that's a pretty big ask. Especially since Wanda only has one life here, only got one shot, one chance. Doctor Strange beat Dormammu with the Time Stone by threatening to trap him in an infinite time loop. Scarlet Witch doesn't have these powers, doesn't have the powers of the Time Stone, and chaos magic itself might not even hurt Dormammu. I just can't really see any way that Scarlet Witch wins here. Nope, don't see it happening. Dormammu wins. But what do y'all think? Sign off in the comments down below. Who do you think wins this fight? Scarlet Witch or Dormammu? Sign off down below. What do you think of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Also be sure the like button, subscribe button, turn notifications for more videos like this one every single day, and I will see y'all next time.